Okay, let's get back to course. All right. Let me check. So so not only this week, in every week our course will be video recording. So the recording will not your picture will not be captured, but your voice will. Okay. So don't say anything too too offensive, right, in the class. All right. So we already covered the first half of what we want to cover uh, this week. Now let's get into the second half. We want to do the introduction to R. Uh, so before I begin, let's take another query. Do you have any question about what we have covered in our first half of class today? Okay, I guess not, right? We have covered what is VA and why we want to use R in VA, and then let's talk about R, right? Okay. Now today you will start to use R, and in this week you will write a lot of R codes. Okay, so that's the way that we learn R. I don't want to teach you the grammar. I don't want to teach you uh, the, the detail of R before let you doing that. Actually, when we learn programming language, it's like we learn human language, right? You don't learn the words, you don't learn the vocabulary, you don't learn the grammar before you start to talk, isn't it? You talk, and you learn the grammar, you learn the vocabulary uh, along the way when you talk, right? So that is the same way that I will try to teach R to you, right? Okay. Um, Now, in order to use R, you will need two pieces of software, right? Uh, and actually, you will need base R and you will need Rstudio. And in this week's in this week's uh, in this week's folder, actually there are two PowerPoints, right? And one of the PowerPoint is about preparation, right? So if you open that PowerPoint, you will see some preparation works. Now let's see. Let me open that. So this is the course preparation. First of all, you will need to install base R, and you will need to install two things, right? Depends on you are in Windows or you are in Macs. There are different places to download these two pieces of software, and you install R first. Let me say it again. You install base R first, and then you install the RStudio. Actually, the current version of R and RStudio is quite stable, so you don't have to do many things. Just follow the default selection in the installation program. Will do most of the work. The only thing that you need to be careful is when you install the base R, there will be an option. There will be an option that you choose the software components. So you want to uncheck this 32-bit. You want to uncheck this message translation. By default, all of the four are checked. And in this page, you want to uncheck the 32-bit and the message translation. Okay? And then for the rest of the thing, you just follow the default, and the installation should complete very well. And if you do run into trouble, then as I say, we will have a TA session. You can come to the TA session and we will help you, okay? And after you install R, as I say, besides the base R, you will need to install a lot of packages, right? So from time to time in Rstudio, you will see something like this. You will say that you will need to install something, right? So whenever this appears in your Rstudio, just type this, just check this install, right? Don't check this one. Do not show again. If you check this one, then this message will not show again. Then you will have to do the installation by yourself, right? So only two things you need to take care. First thing is when you install the base R, remember to uncheck these two options. And then after you run the Rstudio, if you see these things, you check this one, don't check this one. Just two things, only these two things, then you are okay, okay? And then actually we actually have a YouTube video that do an introduction to R language. This is like a 10 minutes introduction to R, right? It's very short, very concise. So actually most of the content in this video I will cover in this hour. I will cover most of the content in this hour. But in case that you want to like watch it again, or you want to see it in a more concise way, you can watch this YouTube video. So this is like a 10 minutes YouTube video, and it will actually tell you all of the principles that you need to know before you get started to write R program, okay? So actually you are just 10 minutes away, right? Before you can start writing R program, right? You are just like 10 minutes away, trust me, okay? So after you learn after this 10 minutes, then you can start writing R. As I say, I would actually cover most of the content in today's talk. And then if you miss today's talk, or if you want to like kind of do some review, then you can go to this video. And then there are some online reference. This is what we call online help, right? There's a website called Quick R, and the other site called STHDA. I don't know what is that, but these are the two sites that have a lot of introductory material about R for the beginning R programmer. This is quite handy, right? So this is the preparation that I actually in the Chinese course I would actually ask them to do this preparation before the first class, okay? But it doesn't matter, right? You can like so one of the things that you want to do is you want to install R and Rstudio into your PC, right? Into your notebook. And next week when we do our course in the classroom, you will need to bring in your own notebook computer with R and Rstudio installed, okay? Where am I? Okay. So to run R, you need this two pieces of software. Install R first, and then install Rstudio. Now, these two pieces of software together, they kind of comprise. They kind of make a interactive computation environment. I should say that R is not a official programming language. Now, people ask me how long have I used R. Actually, I have been using R for like more than 30 years. 30, right? So this R programming language is actually originated from Bell Lab, right? You know Bell Lab, right? If you are come from America. Okay, so I worked for Bell Lab like 30 years ago, and at that time I already have some experience in using R. 30 years ago, it's not called R, it's called S. And then I don't know when, but it in the beginning we are not trying to try to invent a new programming language. We just want to, you know, at that time, 30 years ago, we do not have PC, right? We have mainframe computer, and everything is under the Unix operating system. So in that operating system, we just want to have a kind of interactive computation environment, so that when we want to do some simple computation, we don't need to write program, right? So in this sense, R is not designed as an official programming language. It is from day one designed as an interactive computation environment, right? So, and because it is interactive, its learning curve is shorter than the official language, right? So it's more suitable for business school students because it is interactive. It's intuitive, right? It's interactive and intuitive, so it's easier to learn than official language, and that's why we choose R instead of choosing Python. Well, someone might think that it sounds like Python is more popular in Taiwan than R, right? But I can tell you, okay, Python is an engineering language, okay? So if you are an engineer, if you want to be a professional programmer, then you should learn Python. But if you are a manager, right, you just want to use the data science tool the way that I told you in the first half of today's talk, right? If you want to use this data science tool as a black box, then R is much better than using Python, because it will encapsulate most of the complexity behind its interface. Okay, actually, NSYSU, I mean, our business school is not the only one who choose to use R. If you go to Harvard Business School, if you go to Wharton Business School, if you go to the Sloan Business School in MIT, they also use R for BA, right? I mean the mainstream business school, they also select to use R as the tool of BA instead of using Python, right? Okay, so believe me, you are in the right track. Okay, actually, not only business school, the first class medical school, such as the a lot of the first class business school, such John Hopkins, they also use R to do the medical research. Okay, so I should say that between R and Python, the choice is, if you want to be a professional programmer, if you want to be an engineer, you should learn Python, right? And for the rest of the people, if you just want to use this data science as a tool for your own purpose, then you can use R. Okay, so together they will make up as I say, it's not a formal language, so it's an data object computation environment. So I will explain what is data object later. Okay, so in this environment, doing programming, it's just a process that defines data object with expression. Okay, what in R, every piece of software, every piece of data is called a data object. Right, a data can be any type of data, It can be numeric data. It can be categorical factors. It can be characteristic string. It can be a character string. Data can have many different types, and data can have many different shapes. It can be a one-dimensional vector. It can be a two-dimensional matrix or data frame. So no matter its type, no matter its structure, every piece of data is called a data object in R, right? And you can actually put the data object in an expression. I'll explain what is expression later, right? So, so programming in R is just like define and update this data object with expression. Let us go into the Rstudio so we can explain this concept better, okay? Now this is the Rstudio. Can you see the let me clean it up a little bit.
Professor, may I ask some question?
Yes, please.
In general, if the company use Python, they mainly use Python. Do they also use the R language as well?
I would say that if a company choose to use Python as their policy, they might force their entire company to use Python. Okay? So that is possible. It is possible that you go to a company and that company only use Python. That is possible. Okay? And some companies, they are more open. They do not have a strict policy that everyone need to use Python. And they might allow basically their MIS will use Python, and they will allow the rest of the company to use R or the other data tool. Okay? Now, this is the Rstudio. Every time when you go into Rstudio, you will see the environment kind of look like this. Okay? Can you see it all right? I mean the words, is it too big, too small? Can you see it?
Yes,
yes, it's fine, Professor.
Can you see the words? Okay. Okay. So this is the Rstudio environment. As I say, R by itself, it is a piece of software, right? Now, in order to use this software more effectively and more efficiently, you need to use an interface, and that interface, the interface to use R is called Rstudio. And when you run Rstudio, this is basically what you would see, right? You will see like 4 panels, right? You will see 4 panels. And in the lower left panel is what we call a console, what we call a console. What we call a console panel, okay? Now, everything that you type in this console will be evaluated, and the result of the evaluation will be shown to you immediately. Actually, you can treat the console level as a calculator. For example, if I type in 5 plus 5, and you will return 10, right? If I do a 5 plus 5, and then I want to, this is the square, right? I want to raise it to the third power. It's 10 to the third power, so it's 1,000, isn't it? Okay. So everything that you learned in the mathematics, every mathematical expression that you type in this console area will be evaluated immediately. That's what we means by interactive computation, right? So every expression that you type into the console will be evaluated immediately, and the result will return to you. And that is what we mean by interactive computation. Okay, so actually all of the mathematical expression, including the parentheses, can be used in R, right? And actually, besides the number and also this mathematical operator, we can define data objects. For example, this expression, if I just simply run it, then R would like evaluate this expression and tell us the result, and then the result is lost. Okay, if for some reason I want to do some more computation about this result, then I will need to set the result. I will need to store the result of the expression into an object, and the way we do it is like this: we put the expression on the right hand side of the equal sign, and then we put the object name here. For example, I put the A here, right? So this line of code would actually assign the evaluation of this expression to this object name. Let me say it again. If you put the expression on the right hand side of an equal sign, and then on the left hand side of the equal sign you put a name, and then the evaluation of this expression will be assigned to this object name. Okay? Please take a look at here, right? Please take a look at here. When I execute this, you will see that I will see a object appear here, right? The upper right corner of Rstudio is what we call the object panel, right? So every object that we define will be listed in this object area. Okay, so I can define a second object B, and this time we might want to play. Okay, see, because I plus 100 into the expression, so you will see that I will have the second object defined here. You actually can use this object. After you define object, you can use the data object in your expression. For example, I can define the object C by A times B. So C will equal to A times B, right? So in this way, you define object and you put your data object in the expression to define yet another new object, right? This is what we mean by programming. Okay? So in R, every data, no matter its shape, no matter its type, is called a data object, right? And with data object, together with some mathematical operator, together with some functions, then you can make up what we call expressions. And then in this expression, you can actually use as this. In this expression, you can actually use the predefined object. Okay? So so-called program is simply a sequence that you define or update the value of the data objects. So that's what we mean by this, right? In R, actually, every piece of data is called a data object, right? And R and Rstudio by itself is not a programming language. it's just an interactive data object computation environment, right? It is interactive because if you put data object in the expression, the expression will be evaluated, and you can actually assign the result of the evaluation, right? You can actually assign the result of the expression to another object name, or you can use it to update the existing object name. For example, if I do this, if I put A times B back to A. Now take a look at here. Now A is 3.3, right? And I want to assign the value of A times B back to A, right? So after I execute this line, you'll see that A's value will change, right? So if you assign the expression to a existing name, the existing content behind that name were lost, okay? And in this way, you can update your existing, you can update the value of the existing object, right? Okay? So simply put, right? Simply put, writing our program is like defining new object and update its value with expression, and if you put that code in a sequence, it will become a program, right? Okay. Let me do a more see, if I just do this, right, you will say that, so how is it useful, right? Okay, right? The way that a program is useful to us is that in the business environment, from time to time, we will need to evaluate the outcome of a business decision, isn't it? So I'll try to do that in this environment. Let me do some cleanup. Okay. So in R, as I say, they actually can have different, the data object can have different structures. And the most important structure in R is called vectors. So if I define the data object as a vector, its syntax is like this, right? The C is called concatenate. I try to concatenate them. Now in this way, I will actually define a vector of 3 numerics. As you can see here, pop. Behind this object name, we will have a numeric object of length 3, okay? Right? Okay. And then let me define another object, say payoff. So payoff was defined as another numeric factor of length 3. Okay, payoff is defined here, right? So now I have defined two objects. Now actually, these two vectors they represent the probability and payoff of an uncertainty event, right? So suppose that right now we want to suppose we want to evaluate an uncertain event. We want to evaluate its expected value, right, of an uncertain event of 3 different outcomes. Let me say it again. Suppose that we want to evaluate the expected value of an uncertainty event of 3 different outcomes. It's uncertainty, right? It's uncertain, so you have 3 different outcomes. And the probability of these 3 different outcomes is 0.5, 0.3, and 0.2, right? 3 different outcomes, and their probability is 0.3, 0.5, 0.2. And when these 3 outcomes occur, the payoff that I will get is like 100 minus 150 and $50. Okay. So now in business, we run into a situation, we run into an uncertain event that has 3 different outcomes, and the probability and payoff of these 3 different outcomes, then we can represent them as a vector in R, right? So now we want to know its expected value, right? In R, we do this. See, the way that we calculate expected value is that we for each outcome we will multiply its probability with its payoff, right? So 0.5 multiplied by 100, 0.3 multiplied by 115. Sorry, let me turn it off. Sorry. Okay, so mathematically, when we want to do when we want to evaluate the expected value, right? We actually have to multiply the we actually have to multiply the probability with the payoff, isn't it? So the first outcome is 0.5 multiplied by 100, 0.3 multiplied by 150 minus, and 0.2 multiplied by 50, and then we have to sum them up, right, to get the expected value, right? So in R, we actually can multiply these 2 vectors together, okay? And then we can do a sum, right? So by doing this, okay, we can actually evaluate the expected value of this uncertain event, right? See, now doing this way, I actually do everything in this console area, right? So I have to type in the code one line after the other and do it like in 3 lines of code. And from time to time, we would like to use this coding area. It would be more handy if you want to execute more than 1 line of code repeatedly. Then the better way is to edit the program in this editor area, or what we call coding area, which is the upper left corner of Rstudio. Now, in this area, whatever you type in would not be executed immediately. This is like a text editor, right? So you can edit like 10 lines of code and then run it all together, right? So because it is like a text editor, so you can run the code repeatedly, right? If after some time the probability change, for example, change to 0.442, and if the payoff change, I simply modify, do a slight modification of the code and run it again, right? Now, the expected value will change, right, to reflect the modification that I just made, right? So this is what we mean by writing program, right? We define data objects, right, such as probability and payoff, right? And we use this, right? We write an expression to evaluate the expected value. And in case that the probability change, right, to 6, 1, and 3, right, then I only need to make a slight modification of the code and run the code again. I will see the new expected value, right? Now this is how we do programming in R, and this is why we want to do programming in R, right? The way we do programming in R is to define and update the value of data object, right, in a sequence of code, right? Let me say it again. The way we do programming in R is to define or update the values of data objects in a series of code. And in every line of this code, usually we will have the expression, right, on the right-hand side, of the equal sign, and R will evaluate this expression and put the result of the expression back to the object name on the left-hand side of on the left-hand side of the equal sign. Okay, so this is the way that we do programming, and this is why we want to do programming, right? Because after you write the program once, and whatever your business environment change, you only need to slightly modify your program, then you can predict the outcome in the new environment, right? Now, in business analytics, the business logic tend to be very lengthy, right? So after you represent this lengthy business logic in a program, right? A lengthy logic could be a very lengthy code, right? Many lines of code. You actually can run the code repeatedly, and so that you can estimate the uncertain outcome of your business situation to help you make the decision, right? Okay, so this kind of link back to what we say by business analytics, isn't it? Right? I say business analytics, its purpose is to analyze the data and use the result of analysis to make business decision, right? And this is the way we do it in R. So any question for now? Okay, if no question, let's get into get back to our PowerPoint. So after the live demo, I think this thing would make a lot of sense for you, right? Make more sense to you, right? So R is the interactive computation environment of data objects. And doing programming in R is just define or update data object with expression, a sequence, right? It's a sequence that define and update data object with expressions. We already go through the interface, right? So the interface of Rstudio. Rstudio is the interface so for you to use R. Now in this console area, every expression you type in will be evaluated, and the result will print out to you immediately. And from time to time, we would like to write a sequence of code, right? Many lines of code, and run them together, right? So you can modify them later, so you can run it repeatedly. If you want to do that, you would do it in the text editor area. Actually, after you write a program in this area, you can save it into a program file. Let me demo it. Now, if after you writing this program, you want to save it into a file, then we will use this so-called file area, right? If I want to save it to a code, to a file name, say expected value. So see, this code will be set into a file, right? So next time when I want to run this program again, I can read the file back into this. I can read the file back into the editing area and do some modification and run it again, right? Okay. So most of the time we will do our programming in this text editor area and save it into a program file, right? And the file you save will actually saved in your file system, right? From here, you can bring up the file system of your computer, right? I assume that everyone knows what is the file system, right? In your computer, you will have a lot of folder and folder behind folder, and then actually you will have an area that you save all of your data and save all of your program file, right? So that's the way it works. Okay, so we have covered what is R, right? How to write program in R very, very briefly. And we have already made an introduction to Rstudio, right? In this area is console, this area is text editor. This is kind of like a file system browser, and this is the object area. Now every object that we define will be listed in this area. Okay? So this is the basic of R. Now let's go through a few basic principles in R programming. And after this few basic principles, I think you are ready to write R program already, okay? Now, the first principle in R is very, very simple, right? It's called object. Now, every piece of data is an object, okay? It looks very simple, right? But it's not easy at all, okay? See, we all know that every object has a name, right? And every object has a value. As we can see here, right? We have two objects here, and every object has a name and it has a value, isn't it? So if I assign this expression to expected value, then I will create a new object. What? There are some problem in my environment. For some reason, I cannot execute the code. Let me restart it again. Sorry. I think it's because of the file name. Okay, suppose that I want to define a new object called expected value, right? So when I evaluate the expression, I want to save it into this value, right? So this object is simple because it's a simple value of 50, right? But the payoff and probability, they are not simple value, right? They are vectors. You can see that, right? Probability and payoff, each of them is a numeric vector of length 3, right? So every piece of data is object, and every object has a name and has a value. That's simple to understand. The complexity come in. The complexity come in when you consider the object type and object structure, right? The data object can have many different types. Okay, when we treat data, data has numeric data. They have logical data, true and false. They have categorical, factorial data, such as skin color, right? Such as the genders, right? You have these categorical factors, and you have character strings. For example, your student ID, your name, right? Isn't it? And you have day and time. Data have many different types, and data have many different shape. They have different structures. Payoff and probability here are what we call vectors. They are the same type of data in a sequence, right? Vectors, one-dimensional structure. And you can have matrix. It is a two-dimensional structure. You can have data frame, you can have list, a lot of different structure. And different type and different structure of object need to be calculated, need to be computed in different way, okay? And that is what make programming difficult, right? Now, in your first week's homework assignment, I will actually get you familiar with the data types and the data structure in R. Okay, I don't have enough time to cover because there are many different types and there are many different structure. And your first week's homework assignment is to get you familiar with the most common data type and data structure within R. Okay, your first week's homework assignment is here, right? If you go to the first unit web page, you will see the week one's assignments, right? So I told you that you will have to you have to apply for your DataCamp account, and you need to complete the course of here. Sorry, I should put the a hyperlink here. I think I have put it in here, right? Okay, so DataCamp is actually an online learning environment, and there is a free course. There's a free course in DataCamp that the name of the course is called Introduction to R, and actually, if you go to that course, when you go to this course, you will see that it will teach you what is a vector, what is a metric, what is a factor, what is a data frame, what is a list, right? So basically, this DataCamp free course will walk you through. It will walk you through most of the data type and data structure that commonly used in R, right? So do your homework assignment, and after that homework assignment, you should have some. Maybe you would not like remember. Maybe you would not be be very comfortable about this data type and data structure. But if you walk through the online course of data chem, you should have the idea about what is the data type, what is the data structure, and most of this common type and structure in R, you will have some idea. Okay, you don't have to remember that, because in the second week, we will run more program, and along the way you will have the time to remember the type and structure one after the other. As I say, when you learn language, you don't need to remember everything. You don't need to remember vocabulary and grammar in the first path, right? So in this homework, I just want you to see the common data type and data structure in R. And starting from next week, we will have, along the way, you will know how to use them in the program, okay? So now, and the second principle in R programming is the object names, right? As I told you, every object that we define will have a name, isn't it, right? And that is pretty straightforward, right? Actually, the object name can be reused, right? So if I want to change it to 523, right? Then you can see that the value of payoff will be, the value of probability will be updated from 613 to 523, right? After this update. So if you assigned an expression, if you assign the value to an existing object name, the original content in that object would lost, right? It will be updated with the new content, right? I think this is quite straightforward, isn't it? So name can be reused, and when some new value is assigned to an object name, the original content is lost, right? And now the object will carry a new value, isn't it? Oh. So object, name, and the third thing is expression, right? We already know what is the expression, right? It can compose of object, it can compose of operator. A thing that I need to explain is functions, okay? What we mean by function is something like this, right? Okay, so probability is object, right? Payoff is object, and the parentheses and this star, they are mathematical operator, right? And the sum is actually a function. In R, there are some built-in functions to help you do the mathematical or logical calculation. As an example, if for some reason I want to take the square root of probability, right? So there is a function called square root, and I say probability. Now this expression, right? Because it's very difficult to type in a square root, right? In keyboard, isn't it, right? So we have some of these built-in functions to help you do this mathematical functions. Actually, you can do the expression in every possible way. For example, if we want to add 10 into this square root, you'll be like this, right? And then you can maybe sum them up together, right? Or you can plus 1000 on it, and you can, for some reason, you want to take a log, right? With base 10. Now, as you can see, the expression can be very, very long, everything that you can think of can be expressed in an R expression, isn't it? So far, you would maybe think that how do I know the square function name, the sum function name, the log function name? Don't worry about that yet. Okay. As I say along the way, when we learn R, you will like pick them up one after the other. Okay. So don't worry about them yet. So far, you only need to remember that in R, the expression is very, very flexible. You can combine the object, mathematical operator, and function name in every possible way. So in this fashion, everything that you can specify, you can express them in the R expression. Okay? Let me say it again. Expression is a thing that is composed of objects and operators and also function names. Okay? And because the combination is so flexible, so everything that you can specify can be expressed with the R expression, right? So, and everything you put in the expression will be evaluated. And the result of the evaluation will be another data object, isn't it? Right? See, the evaluation of this lengthy expression is another data object, right? And if you want to keep this data object, you can keep it in an object name, right? For example, with this, I can keep the value in the object name called A, isn't it? Right? And if for some reason I want to update A to A plus 100, plus 100. Now, A now equal to A plus 100, isn't it? Okay? So doing R programming is actually where is my cursor? Sorry, for some reason my cursor disappeared. Okay, so doing R programming is just a sequence, a process that define new object or update existing objects with these expressions, isn't it? Okay. So no matter how long the program is, okay, there are only four simple principles in R programming. Okay. Everything is an object. Every object has a name. Okay. Then you can combine data object, operator, and function name into expression, right? The evaluation of the expression will become another object. Okay, so you can use this. You can use the resultant object to define new object or update the existing object, isn't it? And then a sequence of this code is called a program. Okay, so now you know what is program, right? In the beginning of the class, someone asked this question, right? What do we mean by programming? This is what we mean by programming. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Right? So this is what we mean by programming in R. So it's not very complicated, isn't it? So with this four principle, and with this data type and data structure that you will learn in your first week's homework assignment. Okay? I mean, with this simple principle and with the data type and structure that you will learn in your homework assignment, actually you are ready to write program already. And that's what we want to do in our next in the second week. Okay? Okay? So, any question so far?
Professor, may I ask that how differ from SPSS?
Sorry, can you say the question again?
How R language is differ from SPSS?
SPSS, basically, is more like a manual-driven statistic environment, isn't it? First of all, SPSS is specialized for statistic operation, isn't it? And R is not the same. It is a general purpose environment, right? It's not just statistics. You can do a lot of things. You can do not just doing model. You can use model to predict. You can use prediction to simulate. You can use simulation results to do optimization, right? You can do everything that you need to do in your business environment, right? So this is the first thing. R is general purpose, and SPSS is basically a statistic tool. And the second thing is the operating, the fashion of operation is different, right? In SPSS is mostly manual driven, isn't it? You pull down the drop down menu, and you do some checking on the checkbox, and then you push the button, and then you will build a model for you, right? Isn't it? That is how that is the way you work in SPSS. But in R it's different. In R, as I say, the major way of operating in R is this way, right? If you want to build a model is actually a data object, right? Using a model to do prediction, we will have a function that use the model to do prediction, right? Okay. And then you can set the result of the prediction to another variable, okay, to another object name. And then you can use that prediction data object for simulation, for optimization, isn't it? That is the power of R, right? So if you are doing that in SPSS, what you need to do is after you build a model, I think you can do prediction in SPSS too. But after you do that prediction, you need to get the prediction out of SPSS, maybe pass it into Excel, and then if you want to do simulation or optimization, you will need to do some maybe VBA in Excel to help you do a simulation or optimization. And in R, everything can be done in a single interface. And that is the power of R. Does that, I think it's the two major difference between R and SPSS.
So that does this mean that SPSS is more customized than R? If you want to develop a model, it's more customized. It's like it's not general.
I would not say customized. I would say that it is more specific, right? It's specific for some statistical analysis, right? And almost everything in SPS that we have the package in R to do the same thing, right? I would say that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Let's continue. Okay. So this is pretty much that I want to cover in my first week. But before I finish, I have a few things to let you know, right? Let's go to the unit web page. let me say it again. If you go to the this, this is our course web page, right? And in this course web page, every unit, today we have unit 1, right? Every unit will have its own page. And in every page, we will have our material, and we will have our assignments, right? Now, this week, our assignment is here, okay? You want to fill in the question now. You want to apply for your DataCamp account. It's very easy. In the question now, I will ask you to fill in your Gmail account, okay? Some people do not use their Gmail account in the course selection system. So when I send out the welcome letter, I cannot reach some of them, right? So make sure you use the your frequently used Gmail account in your initial question now. Now, if you do not use that, if you did not use that, you can fill in it. You can fill in the initial questionnaire again. Okay, you can fill in again, and I will use the most updated question now. Okay, so fill in the question now, and then you need to apply for your DataCamp account. Because I already applied an account, so you go to this. If I copy the links and I go to first time when you go to the DataCamp, you will see something like this, right? So I would suggest you use your Gmail account to apply for your own DataCamp account. In our course, we will use DataCamp again and again, so you will need to apply for your DataCamp account. And then after the account, you will take the course. Okay. I later on I will place a hyperlink in this place, right? This hyperlink will bring you to actually will bring you to this page. Where is the? Sorry. It will bring you to this page, okay, and then and as I say, this is a free course. So after you have a DataCamp account, you can go through this course. Let me walk you to let me walk you through some pages of this course, so you wouldn't get confused. Okay, so when you go to this DataCamp course, you will see that it is a free course, so you can start the course and run the course. Okay, so you go to the first thing is to go into this because I already completed the course. So let me see if I can like clear the progress. Maybe. So when you go into when you start the course, you will see something like this. Okay, on the left hand side, you will see some instruction, and you will walk you through when you walk into the environment, as I say, I already complete the course, so I will already have the answer. When you get into this environment, it would be something like this, right? And you just follow the instruction to, and then 6 plus. Oh, sorry. So basically, you just follow the instruction, and then after you type in the code, you can select and run the code to make sure that you do everything right, and then you can hit this submit answers. So if you do everything right, it will let you continue. Okay, you will get some point, and you can go to the second. You can go to the second exercise. So the DataChem course is actually a series of exercises, a well-designed series of exercises to walk you through the basic of R. And its major purpose is to get you familiar with the major data type and the major data structure in R. Okay, so it will tell you how to do addition, how to do whatever, right? Division, exponential, modulo, right? If you press here, then you will see that this is the first chapter, right? And then after you finish the first chapter, you will go to the second chapter, and the second chapter will actually dedicated for vectors. Vector, as I say, is the one-dimensional data type, right? And then there will be a chapter for matrix, a chapter for factor, and so on. It will take you if you are the first time to doing this, it will take you 2-3 hours to finish everything. Now, if for some reason you get stuck, right? The good thing is you can actually take hint. For example, if I for some reason get stuck in the middle, I don't know how to do modulo, right? So you can actually hit hint. So hint will tell you how to do things, right? So you can take hints, right? Now, if after taking hint you still do not know how to do it, you can actually press this button. It will show the answers for you, right? So there is a cheating way to finish the first week's assignment, right? So you can actually go in and hit the hint and hit the show answer, and then submit, right? But if you do it in this way, you will learn nothing, right? Isn't it? So try to follow the instruction and do the exercise by yourself. And if you get stuck, so after you submit, if something is wrong, for example, I do it wrong, then when I do submission, you will tell us something is wrong, right? And if you do not know how to do it, you can rely on hint, and you can rely on you can rely on show answer as your final resort to walk you through. Okay. Now, because this is the first week, usually the reason that I told you, right? Usually we will have a TA session that in addition to the lecture time, we will have a TA session because this is the first week and we do not have the time set up yet, right? So if you run into problem for the first week, let's do it this way. I will be in my office. My office is in 4091-1. Okay, my office. my office is actually in 4091-1, and I will be in office in Saturday and Sunday for this week. Okay, so if you run into problem and you need help, for example, if you have problem in installing your R or your Rstudio, or if you have problem in doing your DataCamp homework assignment, you are welcome to come to 4091-1, and I will give you assistance. Okay. I think the DataCamp environment is very friendly, and most of you should be able to finish your first homework assignment by yourself. And in the process, as you can see, that you already have a lot of chapters, right? And in each chapter, you will write a few lines of code. So together, if you do this homework assignment, you will write like maybe more than 100 lines of R code, right? So by next Monday, when we start our second course, you will already have some experience in writing R code. Now, don't try to remember everything, right? And you don't have to do that, right? Let me emphasize it again. You don't need to remember everything. You don't need to remember the detail about vector, matrix, factor, data frame. Don't try to remember everything, and you cannot do that in the first place. Trust me, okay? And you don't need to do that, okay? Just get yourself familiar with this terminology. Just get yourself familiar with the environment of R. Get yourself familiar with the basic expression, the basic data type of R, right? And then starting from next week, along the way we will learn more and more, and along the way you will pick up more and more about R. Okay. Next week we will have our I will give you a data set, which is they are comic books, right? Like comic books characters. I will give you a data set of comic book characters, and we will do some exercise with this data set, right? So you can see that who is the most appearing woman superhero, right? That we can use that data set to answer some interesting question like this. Okay, so in this week you just get familiar with some basics, and next week, starting next week, along the way we will pick up more and more, and I believe that in the third, the fourth week, most of the time, to my experience, right, I told you that I have delivered this course for like 3-4 years already. Now to the third and the fourth week, you should feel comfortable to do some basic analysis in R already. Okay. Okay, so that is what I want to say.
So, excuse me,
Yeah.
Professor. I would like to ask something.
Okay.
So like for this week, like after class, we have to do that camp course, right?
Yes, you need to do the data camp course assignment, and after you finish that, after you finish all of the chapter, you would actually after you finish all of the chapter, you will actually get a certificate. Okay? So after you finish all of the chapters, you will actually get a certificate like this one. See, because I already finished the course, right? So I can actually see my certificate here, okay? After you finish the course, after you do every exercise, no matter you do it by yourself or you do it after you show the answer, that does not matter, okay? As long as you go through every single exercise in this course, you will see a certificate here. Then you can view the certificate. And what I want you to do is to download the certificate, right? And upload it to this place, okay? In our unit page, there's a share folder. So someone already finished that, right? Okay, and already upload her certificate. Okay, so after you finish that course, you will get a certificate. It is actually a quite nice looking certificate, right? So download this certificate and then upload it to this share folder, so I know that you have finished the course. Okay. And another thing you might want to do is to enroll to MIT's class with audit option. But I will save this one. I will do more explanation next week because we are running out of time already. Okay. So try to do all of this assignment by the end of Sunday, okay? Because we are having our class in next Monday, right? So try to finish this by the end of Sunday, okay? So any question about the homework assignment? See, this, as I say, BA is very, very popular, and it will give you it will make you very competitive in the job market, right? I would say that actually in this year we have seven of our students go to the TSMC. You know what is TSMC, right? The world's largest semiconductor fabrics, right? So so it will let you very, very competitive in the job market. But in order to learn business analytics, just taking the course, just listen to my lecture is not enough, right? You will need to do a lot of assignments, right? And myself and all of our TA, we will do whatever it takes. We will do a lot, try to help you with this homework assignments. But you need to put in a lot of time, right? I mean, besides the lecture, you will need to put in like 4 hours, maybe 6 hours every week for this course. So this is not an easy course. It would give you a lot. And if you follow us at the end of the class, I cannot say that you will be a good programmer, but you will know how to use program to analyze data, to answer, to make some business decision. Let me say it again. At the end of the course, if you follow us and do the homework assignment, that will take a lot of your time, okay? And if you go through this process at the end of the semester, you will be able to use program to analyze data and use the result of analysis to make business decision. That's what I want to say. That's the last thing that I want to say in the class today. Okay? Any more question? I think we already overrun the time, so whoever want to drop can leave the conference room now, and whoever has question can stay in the room. I will stay here for a while, for like 5 minutes to take your question. Okay? Okay, so thank you for your time, and I wish I will see you guys next week. Okay?
Professor, can I ask some question?
Yes. Please.
Do you think that if I finish your course, could I use R in my thesis?
I did not get the question very well. Can you say it again?
If I finish your course, could do you think that could I use R language from R language knowledge from your course in my thesis?
In what? In thesis?
Thesis.
Oh, in your master thesis, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Many people do that, and you know, traditionally when they do master thesis, they will do questionnaire, right? So
Yeah.
they will collect like 100, maybe less than 200 questionnaire and do the analysis by SPSS. But more and more people is starting to use big data for their thesis, right? So they will download data from the government, the open data source. Some of the people even download data from the United Nations, right? They will use a very big data to do their thesis. For example, one of the students in the BA department, she used the UN data, and the data set is as large as is about 100 million records, right? So they use a big data to do her thesis, and in that way they will have to use some technique that I taught in my class. So yes, after learning this data science technology, you can definitely use it in your master thesis. But you need to discuss with your mentor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My last question. I want to confirm with you that how much time that I need to spend on your class per week, because you mentioned that we need more special course, right? But I have checked the MIT courses is require around 10 to 15 hours per week. So I'm not so sure that how
No,
much time I should spend.
15 hours is too many, I guess.
Yeah, per week. Yeah,
Besides,
that's right.
besides my lecture, right? Besides my lecture,
Yeah.
it used to take maybe 3-4 hours to do the homework assignment. And when we go to the midterm, and when we go to the final, the midterm and final project will need more time, right? So the weeks before midterm and final, it would take maybe 6 hours or 8 hours or 8 hours per week, besides my lecture. Right? So it take a lot of time, because I will give you a lot of homework. But you are not alone, right? Okay. When we give you the homework, we will have a TA session that help you do the homework. So if you bring the homework to the TA session, then usually you can do most of your homework during the session.
And the assignment will be I can do it for the next week, right? I have a time to do the assignment. It doesn't like the examination, right? Your assignment.
Right. You don't have to go to the TA session if you can finish your homework by yourself. Actually, not everyone can go to that session, right? Because of you might have course in the TA time.
Yeah.
But that is kind of assistance that we can give to the students, right? To help them complete all of the homeworks. As I said, there will be a lot of homeworks, right? Team homeworks and also individual homework. And if you do not have enough of time, if you have a lot of class, all right, if your burden is already too high, I do not recommend you stay in this course, because it really takes a lot of time before you can get everything that I want to deliver. Right?
So, excuse me. So, will like the TA will inform about the schedule, because like maybe in the late of this week we have to like kind of add or drop the courses.
Yeah. Since almost everyone already filled in the initial questionnaire, right? So later today, and no later than tomorrow, we will try to decide the TA times and announce it in the. I think we will announce it in the Facebook, and also announce it in the website. Is that okay to you?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Professor, so could I ask in advance, like about the MIT, the analytic age course? Because like yesterday I accidentally like click, so it's like kind of enroll already, and it seemed like we have only like 3 months, right, to complete it. So I would like to know like when you will like how long does it take to take it?
Well, the reason that I want you to enroll to the MIT is because I think in the middle of the class, I would like to like use some of the material, use some of the example that are inside the MIT courses. So 3 months will be enough. Don't worry about that.
So
You get me?
Yeah.
Because
like
is long enough. So
So I just want to sure
if you register yesterday, then 3 months is long enough. We will go to that part in maybe by the end of
December.
second month, I think.
Yeah, thank you. So just my curious. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so this week is like, because we are doing it online, right? So I cannot see your reaction, and next week will be better, right? We will see each other, and I will announce the team assignment, and I would introduce all of our TA to you guys, and we should have a TA session set up next week, okay? All right, so if no more question, let's terminate our online session for now, and I'll see you next week, okay?
Thank you so much, Professor.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.